Schmitt. He's a member of the Senate Armed Services, Commerce, Science, and Transportation Committees. He's also a member of the Joint Economic Committee. Senator, great to see you. Thank you for being here. Am I right to say you're supporting Rick Scott? Can you tell us why?
I haven't decided yet, Maria. I'm going to hear everybody out again this morning. We had a great forum last night where we had a Q&A. You'd be surprised how little we do that actually in the Senate Republican Conference, but we had a great couple-hour meeting last night. We're going to have another meeting today. I want to hear everybody out because here are the two things that are important to me. One, that the candidate is fully on board with Trump's mandate. That has, since last Tuesday, become obviously a much bigger issue because he won by such a big margin. He was clear about what his agenda was. I want to make sure the next majority leader is fully on board with that. And then secondly, the way we run this place, Maria, is totally broken. Senators don't have a lot of say. You end up with these omnibus bills that are concocted at midnight. No one can read them, and you vote yes or no. That's got to change. So for me, my vote's going to go to the one who can actually deliver on both of those.
Do you believe that John Thune can, or John Cornyn can deliver on that, given that this is the way business has been done in the Senate for so long?
Well, I think the conference is very clear about where we need to go now. I don't think there's much dissent, Maria, that President Trump won. I mean, he won the popular vote, right? I mean, this is a very clear mandate on securing the border, an economy that works for working people, energy dominance, and being respected around the world. So I want all the candidates to speak to that, and I'm not going to make a decision until the buzzer sounds.
I want to get your take on where the disagreement might be in the Senate. What are the policies that you believe President Trump will need 60 votes in terms of nominees, in terms of tariffs? Do you believe that these are going to be the issues that you're going to have to be looking to the other side to actually get support?
Well, here's the good news, Maria, is on nominees, that threshold is now, 51 votes. And so if we stick together and are unified on President Trump's nominees, I think we can get him across the finish line. If we've got to do recess appointments, we've got to do recess appointments. We need to stay here, even if it's weekends, and work to get that done. As it relates to the agenda, the good news is, well, the bad news is a lot of those Trump tax cuts are expiring at the end of 2025 for middle-class families and small businesses. The good news is, because we have majorities in the House and the Senate and the White House, we can move by way of what's called reconciliation, which only requires 51 votes, not 60 votes. So we can have some, generational tax reform for working class families. Also, one thing that I'm going to be working on closely is regulatory reform. If we've got budget savings, we can have it in that. So the good news is a lot of the things that we want to move are 51 votes, but we have to be unified. Of course, there'll be some other things that we got to get to 60 on, but I think we want to hear President Trump out about what specifically he wants to do. But you've talked about it a lot. You and I have been down to the border before. I think those executive orders are coming on day one. Remain in Mexico is coming back. That's a good thing. I think tariffs can be used against Mexico if they're not on board with that. And I think, again, making sure that we're energy dominant, getting those offshore leasing, getting drilling and fracking all across this country and be energy dominant again. I think he can do by executive order. But if we got to backfill legislatively, we're going to do it.
Well, what about President Trump weighing in on these recess appointments? You just mentioned that. I want to go back to that because I'm reading a Cowan and Company report, and the analyst writes, in 2012, Obama tried to make recess appointments between pro forma Senate sessions, and Supreme Court said that a 3-day recess was not long enough. To use recess appointment power, you need at least a 10-day recess period. So, play that out, because a 10-day recess period is meaning you guys are going to be out for 2 weeks. The earliest that you would see that is during the Easter break in mid-April. Before that, you're basically telling the Senate, go away for 2 weeks. How's that going to work?
Well, it's going to take a lot of coordination. You're right. This didn't used to be a thing, Maria. This happened all the time. There were recess appointments. That changed about 10 or 12 years ago as the Senate became more dysfunctional. But the good news is, because we have the House, because we have the Senate, we can be very coordinated on this. But we're going to have to be sort of in lockstep with the House and with the White House about when we would want to be in recess. If we've got to go that direction, and if we do, we do. I support it. But here's the other thing is, we need to make sure that we're in to get his nominees through advice and consent through in the first place. And I think that the recess appointment should be on the table. We should utilize it if we need to. So
President-elect Trump is getting to work filling out his administration. I want to get your take on some of these nominations. He nominated former Director of National Intelligence John Ratcliffe as the CIA Director. Senator, you withdrew your name from the race to be Trump's Attorney General. Why?
Well, it was an honor to be considered, and President Trump and I have a great relationship. But for me, I was elected to the Senate 2 years ago. My heart's here. The fight is here right now because I want to deliver on that agenda over the next 4 years. And we need real America First warriors, not people who just talk about it, but who are willing to dig in and fight that important fight. And that's what I signed up for, and I want to go do that.
What do you believe will be the most important issue facing the incoming Attorney General?
Well, I think the Department of Justice needs major reform. You've seen it weaponized in ways we've never seen before. They're going after Catholics. They're going after parents who showed up to school board meetings. The Department of Justice has to return to its mission of taking on violent crime, not going after these, opinions you don't like or religions you don't approve of. And that has been, I think, the great stain of Merrick Garland's time and Joe Biden and Kamala Harris's time. They have completely weaponized the Department of Justice, and it's been terrible.
I mean, do you think that's the issue with finding the right AG for President Trump? Maybe somebody doesn't want to. Maybe most people don't want to take that on. It's got to be ugly at times because it means you're going to have to hold people to account for some of the misdeeds that have happened in the last 4 or even 10 years.
Yeah, well, I'm confident President Trump's going to find an attorney general, I think, that shares the vision that the Department of Justice needs to return back to some measure of respect and going back to fighting crime and not settling political scores.
Senator, it's great to see you this morning. Thanks so much.
Take care.
We'll be